All right, in this episode of the My People podcast, I'm here with Weston Barnes. He's a local Grass Lake, Chelsea area entrepreneur, owner of Mr. MOCKS Hammocks, or Mr. MOCKS. I think there's lots of products they sell. Weston, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making the drive.
Yeah, it was long and brutal.
Yeah, I got to kind of start local. Once the podcast gets bigger, then people might want to drive an hour, But we've met multiple times. Surprisingly, the only times we've ever been in each other's like personal space and IRL has been in Florida so far for the HangCon.
Yep.
Actually, the first year I went there, I was there with Chad. He was a couple episodes ago, and you pulled up, and I was like, I'd already followed you. I knew you were from Grass Lake, so I have a habit of kind of following anybody from Grass Lake that owns a business and stuff. And you just pulled up and camped right next to us, and I was like, I think he's from Grass Lake. Like, I'm on the other side of the country, and then you pull up and you're camped right there.
No, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, just to kind of intro people into your company. I know it's like hyper personal because like even the Mr. MOCKS logo was like, I learned this on your website not too long ago, but it's like something you just drew from being a kid. You started it from wanting a hammock, not being able to get a hammock. You asked for a sewing machine. Can you kind of like walk people through like the origin story of Mr. MOCKS? Can we start with that?
Yeah, so not like boring you guys with being too deep, but the logo came from as a kid. I used to like to draw Odie and Garfield. No, not Garfield. Sorry,
Roadrunner.
Odie and Roadrunner. I was like, I used to like to draw them together, and then I turned it into the shape of a W, and that kind of was my childhood logo. Whenever I would like do something or make something, I'd always put that logo on it. So then when I was making Mr. MOCKS, I kind of morphed that into turning it into a hammock and a W, and kind of all went from there. And then as far as starting Mr. MOCKS, there was a lot of hammocks out there. They were all very expensive. They all seemed pretty straightforward to make. And I really wanted one, but they were too expensive for me to buy. And I asked my mom for one for Christmas, and she told me that they're too expensive. I'm never going to use it, so she didn't buy me one. So I told her I wanted a sewing machine for Christmas, and I convinced her by telling her I was going to make her dog like different jackets and blankets and stuff like that. So I finally got a sewing machine for Christmas, and it kind of just started making the dog blankets and whatnot, and then I finally made my first hammock.
Fulfilled your promise first, gave her that blanket, and then off you went to making hammocks.
Yeah, I think it's probably been about 10 years since I've made a dog blanket for her. So
yeah. Does she have a lot of dogs? Like how many dog blankets did you have to make for her?
She likes to have her different outfits, but she's on her second dog since I've had a sewing machine.
Sounds like she's got tiny dogs.
Yep.
Okay.
Little Yorkie, and then this dog was my grandma's dog, and it was some mutt.
Right.
So like 3 different things. I forget. I think there's a little bit of Yorkie in her, but yeah, small dogs.
So when you were like, before you asked for the sewing machine, did you happen to like already be like, oh, well, what's it take to make this? And looked it up on YouTube and found out like, oh, this looks like the steps look pretty simple. I can probably do this.
Yeah. There was
or did you just know by looking at it?
A little bit of YouTube, but I kind of like to figure things out by myself. And as far as like finding fabrics, like I went to Joann and I was like, well, this is not very good fabric, pretty expensive. And like I kind of went to Amazon and was like, okay, the fabric to make these is kind of expensive. Like,
right.
But yeah, just watched some videos, and I was like, well, let me try doing some weird stuff. And so I just kind of morphed from there into like trying to make my own hammocks and make them different. So
you weren't really using the nylon fabric at the beginning. You're kind of just trying fabrics. Like, what was the first hammock made out of?
I think the first hammock I made, it was some really terrible nylon that I bought from Amazon. Yeah. And I way overspent
really
for it.
Really stretchy and like...
No, I think it was really tough, and I think it was like kind of waterproof. Like I didn't really know exactly what I was buying. I think it was kind of like a marine-ish type nylon. Right. It was not the right hammock fabric. And then I found Ripstop by the Roll, and they had a bunch of fabrics, so I kind of just bought some of those and just started making them for my friends and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And
were you able to like talk to them and be like, this is what I'm trying to do? Or did you just order off the internet, off their store?
yeah, I'm not really a big call and talk to people person. And on their website is pretty.
You like to go the hard route and learn a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of just, yeah.
No, and yeah, exactly. Instead of spending $80 on
Instead
a
of
hammock.
researching or yeah. Which is, there's nothing wrong with that because you're going to, you know, you're going to learn, you're going to hit a lot of dead ends and learn a lot of things in that process. So,
yeah.
Especially getting started so young. So how old were you when you got that sewing machine?
When I got the sewing machine, I was probably 13 or 14 would be my guess.
Oh, wow. So you were starting to kind of, you know, sewing is such a, people who have listened to any of the episodes, you know, my couple friends or whatever, are probably like, Mike is obsessed with hammocks and sewers, you know, because I think I mentioned this in another podcast, like so many people around me are sewers. And my neighbor's a sewer, and we started her up with Grass Lake Sewing Co. And Chad's a sewer, you're a sewer, you know, and everybody I talk to at HankCon is a sewer. They've, you know, even if they're just there visiting, they're like, oh, I've made this, I've made that. I'm like the only one who hasn't touched a sewing machine out of the, you know, the people there. But it's amazing what you can do with a sewing machine, you know, and it's like one of those skills like a mechanic, you know, it's like such a needed thing that not too many people do, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty well versed in like being able to do like woodworking and mechanic and stuff like that, but sewing machine is probably the machine I use the most when it comes to fixing stuff and making stuff.
So I know that you eventually got connected with Steve Caro at some point. So was that like he made a posting, or did you bump into him? Because like you're still working with him. You're like his lead sewer, right, for his yurts.
Yeah, so that was 2017-ish. I think it was like about the same year that I launched Mr. MOCKS. Okay. And my cousin's girlfriend was friends with Steve, and she hit me up. She's like, hey, Steve's looking for a sewer. And I was like, yeah, I'll go check it out, see what it's about.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy, great family.
Yeah.
So, seems like you guys get along pretty good.
No, it's like family over there. So I don't know what I'll do when I have to leave, or if I'll ever leave, but we'll see.
It seems like he keeps it kind of loose. It's like, well, he knows and that's what you want with any kind of job. Like here's almost like a salary job. Like here's expectations for your role. As long as you accomplish those expectations, you don't have to be here. Just make sure you know, it's like a handshake deal versus like a clock in at this time, you know.
Yeah.
That's what really restricts you when it's like clock in 8 hours a day, you know.
No, it's really the perfect job for me. Like we'll get a yurt order. I have 6 weeks pretty much to do it, and as long as it's done by, you know, there's usually a grace period depending on the order, but I can go sew 2 hours a week and go the next week and sew 4 12-hour days, as long as I get the yurt done. By the time it's done, needing to be done, it doesn't really matter. So it's nice to have that. Actually,
a fifth of this studio is brought to us by Great Lakes Yurt Company.
Oh.
One time I had this idea upstairs in my house that I was going to section off this. I had this like big hallway up there, and me and the kids always use it for gaming. We had like a couch and a TV on the wall, you know, probably 10 foot wide. And I was like, I kind of want to make this like a tent, you know, so like close it off with the fabric, and then, you know, you'd walk in there and it'd be this like RGB, you know, like this little tent gaming area. And Steve came over and we measured it, and then he gave me this big chunk of fabric, and then I never used it. So I was like, well, I'll use it out here, you know. It's amazing how, like, I mean, it's way better than these tarps and stuff I use. It's crazy how like thermally efficient they are, you know.
Yeah, that looks like the old canvas stuff that we used to use too.
But you guys use that with also like a insulation layer too, right? Do you sew that as well?
No, that's all cut and taped. So.
Oh, so it's like afterwards. It's like in between the beams, just like a normal insulation.
No, it's on top of the beams. So you sew the outside.
Okay.
And then you have the insulation tape, the double bubble reflective, and then there's an inside layer too. But that all
of the fabric.
Yeah, it all goes on top of the rafters.
That's great. Did you help with those yurts up at the camp too?
I sewed them. I didn't really help set up.
Okay.
I made it up there like twice and did a little bit of work up there, but
Yeah, I'd imagine you got a free stay up there when you want it. That's a beautiful property. I love that.
Yeah, no.
River.
What they've done up there is really cool.
Yeah, yeah. We all got to get up there sometime in the summer or something. And yeah, we were fishing. Caught a couple of brown trout and stuff in there, and it was fun. It was like it was just me and the kids back to the entire time we were there, pretty much. And like I was telling him, it's so fun because you're back there so far on that 2-track that you don't want to leave. You just stick it out. Hang out back there. It's nice.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and I'm a Subaru guy, so getting to use the Subaru and Subaru ways getting back there was pretty fun too.
I just seen that in the drive. So that's your Subaru?
No, so mine's actually last week, and I blew my Subaru up. So that's actually my cousin's Subaru.
Well, you also, so another thing you did too, didn't you did a schoolie,
Yeah.
right? And that was a full-size school bus?
Yep, full size. Now I can't remember if it's, for some reason, 48 feet seems too long, so it could be 38 feet. But
Like the standard bus, long bus, not the short bus.
Not the short bus, no.
That's cool, man. I drew up a couple designs. I had a moment where I was like ready to load up the family in my schoolie, like, just doing the math. I'm like, okay, I got this much equity in my house, and I also like always have an escape plan. I'm like, okay, I have this much money, so if things ever get too bad, if I have like a, where it's like mentally I'm breaking down because for my job or whatever, I can I'm gonna build this, go here, and then go here, so it's just like I find comfort in having an escape plan, and a lot of them for a while there involved a school because it was just so there's parts for those buses everywhere. They run like crazy good, almost as good, it almost reminds me of like those engines they put in the UPS trucks, like they just freaking run, you can always find parts, and you can fit a lot of shit in there, they can carry a lot of weight. So what's your are you like kind of slowly working on it, and when it gets to a certain point, do you think you're going to do a big trip with that?
So my big trip was supposed to be Florida.
Right.
It's pretty much done. It was done to the point of being able to use it for that trip, but I'm guessing that I'll probably have it done by the spring, like completely done. Mm-hmm. And then there was some like weird add-ons, like I wanted to be able to put like a top on it where it turns it like the top is like a pop-up camper type thing, like a with a queen bed and like some random stuff like that, and that I'll keep adding on to it. But final product this spring.
Yeah. And you think you're gonna do like the whole thing of going to some state or federal land and camping for 15 days and moving on, and just kind of like bop, like slow roll improv bopping around, or
we'll see.
Are you gonna disappear?
So
have somebody run Mr. MOCKS and just go?
January, February, those are my times when I'm pretty much free from Mr. MOCKS, free from the Yurtco. Then I have HangCon down in Florida. So normally I'll go on a vacation for like 3 weeks in January anyways. So
that's one problem with being on wheels, is that you can't get that close. I mean, I guess you can go down through Mexico. Would you go down through Mexico, get closer to the equator, or would you stay in the U.S.?
I don't know. Driving the schoolie through Mexico seems a little scary to me, but
yeah, I feel like the more you learn the language, the less scared you are. Because that's the scary part for me. It's like I went to Mexico when I was, I was probably 23. I just started video, so it was probably 24, 23. And I got hired by this lady, Adriana. She was doing Mexico Culture and Pride. And she's like, oh, I see your video. She's from Michigan. So she's like, I seen you, you do great video, whatever. Can you come with me on this trip? We went to Mexico, went to Oaxaca, went to Tehuantepec. Like, this isn't Cancun. This is like we were going through checkpoints, and they were waking me up from my nap, like making sure I wasn't kidnapped, and everybody had machine guns, and like I was the only gringo there, like it was. But I felt like a kid again, because like I didn't speak the language. So it was like I felt like a kid with my mom. Like Adriana was my mom. And I was just like at her hip, or at somebody who I came with. I was just hanging out with them, So even going out and having, and we could talk a little bit because everybody speaks English in every country to a certain extent, a little bit at least.
Yeah.
But man, time slowed so much though, because all the smells, the colors, everything was different. You know, it was my first time out of the country. You know, it's amazing what that can do for you, like to slow down time. You know, when you go to, and I'm sure you felt that when you went to Copenhagen.
Yeah, no, I get what you're feeling with that.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, novelty is, that's probably why when you're a kid, like a summer feels like 10 years, right? And then you get older and it's just like a month feels like a week. It just flies by.
Yeah, just even just winter. It feels like spring's coming up here soon, and it's like I don't even feel like I did anything winter oriented this whole time.
Right.
Like, didn't go skiing, didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
But I guess we haven't had snow for skiing or snowmobiling or anything like that, anyways.
Well, you're full-fledged adult now. You got a business, you got a job, you got, you know, all these responsibilities. So it's like sometimes, oh shit, I didn't do anything for me. You know, that's just part of it. Unless you like really, I always tell people, if you don't like, because the big problem with me, with like my buddies and stuff like that, when we're trying to plan things, is like nobody has time. But I always tell people, like, if you put it on your calendar, if you like 2 months from now, weekend with these people, we're doing it. It's funny how nothing pops up to knock that out. It'll work. It's when you wait till the last minute and you're like, this weekend, next weekend, can you do this? It can never happen because you always have plans. But, you know, I guess this comes down to that whole manifestation thing, you know, like once you set that intent of like a month out, like we set this weekend up, 4-day weekend to go do this, it just works out.
Yeah. No, and my friends, we hang out a lot, so we don't ever like make plans to just like hang out. So like I feel like that keeps most of my time free too, of like not like I'm pretty spur of the moment. Like you want me to go do something, I can go do it. But I feel like a lot of people, like they'll make like they have to make plans with their friends or whatever, and it kind of fills up a lot of their time, and they're like forced to do stuff where I live pretty freely, I guess.
Do your friends have kids?
Nope. And that's exactly
that's the problem. Yeah. So I have friends who are like, their kids are in hockey, you know, like travel hockey, and that's just enormous amount of time, you know. But it's also a beautiful thing. Like my one buddy Shane, he shared this video of his like son like winning a face off and then like stealing the puck and then getting a goal like at the end of the game to like win the game, you know. And it's like moments like that, like I got goosebumps even just talking about it, you know. It's like, it's really cool that he can like provide that for his kid, you know, but you're still like, man, you know, I mean, I'm sure he feels it too, you know. It's like you still want to have times with your friends, which you haven't had to miss that yet, but someday when they start popping out kids and getting married and stuff, like you'll feel that. So y'all, your friends are I know that they're actually down the street at the bar, right?
Yep.
They're waiting for you to go pick them up. Like that's pretty cool. So they're all from like Grass Lake area?
Chelsea. Yeah.
Chelsea?
Yeah. One's my cousin, one's my friend Louis.
Yeah. So did you guys go to Grass Lake schools or?
Nope, we all went to Chelsea.
Okay.
We were right on the line of going to Grass Lake or Chelsea.
Yeah.
And Chelsea had a hockey team, so.
Did you play hockey?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, hockey and equestrian.
Okay. So you played for the high school?
Mm-hmm.
Did you do travel hockey when you're growing up too and stuff, or?
No, because it was too much time,
Yeah.
money. It was, yeah. So we stuck with the house.
It's a huge sacrifice. Like my kids have gotten into some sports and played for fun. I don't really push them into anything. Obviously, anything they get into, I'll support. My dad did the same for me. You know, oh, you're into this? I'm gonna go spend $500, $1,000 to get you the good equipment so that you can move it forward. But you sacrifice a lot as a parent to do those travel sports for sure.
Definitely.
I definitely admire like certain, I know like Carrie and Matt from Freight's Place. It amazes me that they're able to not only do travel baseball with their kids and like heavy into their kids' sports careers and stuff, but also like be entrepreneurs too and be like, oh, we're going to start a restaurant. I don't know how they balance that out.
No.
That's like a freakish level of balancing, you know.
No, balancing is tough. It seems like, at least for me, there's always something that greatly takes a hit. And
Yeah.
you kind of end up rotating between different things of what's going to be taking the hit this month and what's going to be getting my full attention.
Yeah. So let's move on from family and stuff, and let's get into crypto because I know that you are kind of like at one point. I think the first time I met you, or first time we talked face to face in Florida, you were like talking about kind of like being like a investment advisor for crypto. I don't know if that's still a thing or not, but it seems like you probably know crypto. You probably made some money with crypto. Can I hear? Let's do the same thing as Mr. MOCKS. Let's hear your journey with crypto, successes, failures, like.
Ooh, crypto. So, where do we start with this? So, I was my first crypto experience was when I was like middle school, high school, and they were talking kind of bad about crypto, whatever. And I remember telling my dad that I wanted to buy crypto. This was when Bitcoin was like $1 or something like that. Which even if I would have been able to buy it, probably would have been on MOCKS and stuff like that, and it all would have been wiped away or whatever. So it doesn't really matter.
You had to keep track of the address.
Yeah, no. So I probably would have lost it, or as soon as it went to $10, I would have spent it on something stupid as a kid. But so that was like my first kind of dive into crypto, like just kind of hearing about it, whatever. And then I didn't really pay much attention to it until like 2017 when it hit the like $17,000 mark or whatever. And there was like a lot of like BlackRock and stuff like that talking bad about it. And I'm like, all right, I know I've seen like when they talk about copper and like all that stuff, like market trends, like they always talk trash about stuff, push the price down, and then 4 years later they start, this is great, what a blah blah blah. So that was kind of when I started like looking into it. And then my cousin, he got into it, and he was doing not staking, but like people who don't know crypto or whatever, trying to dumb it down to but like off.
Yeah, staking is when you're holding so much crypto that you kind of stake it for loans and or whatever uses, and you're making a percentage back every month on it.
Yeah, but
it's usually under like the index fund. It's like 5% or something back.
Yeah. So, but what we were doing was like Web3, like truly what blockchain was built for, like DeFi, and just like going into like every little new token that was launching. We had bots and stuff, and we were jumping in on new liquidity and on pump and dumps and just buying it and selling it before everybody else, and just doing stuff like that,
selling off in that first pump.
Yep. And sometimes you'd win, sometimes you'd lose, but just kind of learning a bunch of crypto stuff along the way, and just about like blockchain and like NFTs and stuff like that, and just the technology behind it. Like there's a lot of like BS stuff with crypto, but like even like NFTs where people are like, these are just stupid pictures that have no value, which in a lot of ways they don't. But the framework behind NFTs of what the technology, that's what I love. Like, you have your loan for your house, or your deed for your house, whatever you want to call it. And like, that's a piece of paper that the government has like some document type stuff. But the real use case for NFTs is like where you could use that
for contracts,
and like
transfers of ownership.
Yeah, like you can in your own wallet, you could have like like something you can't copy of like your title of your car and just like stuff like that. And I don't know how I got off on NFTs, but
I mean, you're talking about the utility of it.
Yeah,
but I was so your journey of it. I mean, so through all those bots and buying it, did you make out pretty well on those like over time?
Yeah, I definitely came out ahead. And I got in some bigger ones that ended up not working out. So I definitely made out over time, but I definitely had some big losses in there as well. So it all pretty well evened out, but I definitely came out ahead. And and this year we're on a new bull run, and I've got some new things I've been checking out and stuff, and just being a little bit less risky, and taking what I learned from last bull run. And
I definitely think that there's some longevity for crypto. Obviously, I understand what you're saying with the utility for sure. And I mean, Vivi kind of got me because I was just like, well, this is technically the very first NFT Captain America. you know,
Yeah.
like, and maybe it pumps back up because, but I'm like, oh, they have a contract with Marble, you know, but it was way up there. I was like, holy shit, I really made a lot of money on this, you know, and
Yeah.
then it went kind of back down, but I still have them. And I also think like as we move more to digital space, like there is a future where you put on a pair of regular looking glasses and you look at a wall and say like your girlfriend, wife, girlfriend. So say I walk in your house, I can look at your decor in the house or I can look at hers. Based on, I look at this wall, she has a painting, but you might have a painting, you know, and that painting is an NFT, you know,
Yeah.
or you have this Captain America statue or something, you know, who knows what it is, but like that's how you actually track that digital art. And then when we move into those spaces, that digital art will be more valuable. You know,
Yeah.
right now it's like we're figuring out the basement of it, like the foundations and the fundamentals of how everything works. And people can't really see that, you know, because it really does take some abstract thinking into the future to look at exponential growth of technology, where that leads us, and then how will we track? Is that an original piece of art, digital art, or is it not?
Yeah.
You know, so I see definitely see like the utility, but it's also taught me because, you know, at my job, I work at U of M, I get 2-to-1 matching, and I just throw that in. I have like, you just set the aggression level of your thing and set it and forget it, you know. And I've made good returns on that. But then with the crypto, I'm doing that personally. I'm buying and I'm selling. And then you just see like the patterns you want to do. Like when it goes up, you think I got to buy. It's going up. It's going to keep going up. No, you don't want to do that. You want to do it just like you do your investment accounts. Like, so what I do now is I just do every paycheck, I put $50 towards. I feel it out, watch some videos, whatever, and I'll buy $50 in crypto every 2 weeks, you know.
Yeah.
And then I don't touch it, just like my retirement account. So I'm not trying to do. I don't even do. I know that people say to kind of harvest your gains when it pumps up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. I'm just doing the long game. It's more for like down the road, you know. So I treat it just like in my investment account. So I learned those lessons because I did like really good. Like I bought Shiba like really early, and I made like 10 grand on that. I was like, holy crap, you know? And I thought I was like balling. I did cash out a little bit on that. I didn't lose anything, but yeah, it just like I made some mistakes and I learned like about investing. It's just never invest more than what you're willing to lose. Make it a steady number and just do it every month, bi-weekly, every paycheck or whatever, and don't touch it.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
If you get a big pump like that, like, you know, obviously, you know, it goes up a point, it goes up a decimal point, whatever.
Yeah. No, my biggest thing that I've learned is you know, say you put $100 into something, you don't say, oh, if this were to 10x, you know, I'd have $1,000. It's no, if this were to 2x, I would sell my original my original money I put in,
Right.
and then, you know, from there, then you'd have what would be left with once you take some profit, you'd have a moon bag. So, you know, if at 10x's, you'd not be at $1,000, you'd be at, say, maybe $500 or $300, whatever you decide to make. And it's like, all right, that is more of a, yeah, you don't, when you hit the big ones, they don't hit as big, but of those 100 other ones that you've been in or
Right.
doing, you don't lose money on those. You
Yeah.
break even across all of those. So
A lot of people get in that trap of like I was even doing the math earlier. I was like, okay, Bitcoin hits $1 million. I have 0.01 Bitcoin. You know, I'm like, well, that's only this amount. Like, because you want to find those like rare ones where you can buy it at 0.0001 and then it goes up, you know, 2 decimal points. It goes up 2 zeros and then you're like, really made some good money. You know, so you're always, everybody's, I think, when it comes to crypto right now, they're looking for those like moonshots, like those big gains.
yeah,
You know?
no, everybody's looking for the big gains. And from this is my second full real bull run. Like, you know, I did the math on if I was, you know, just doing not super aggressive type stuff, and if I was just like pretty just nonchalantly aggressive, like, oh, I would have made, you know, this much amount of money versus, you know.
Oh, you mean like if you invested in the stock market?
No, if I would have done like non-aggressive crypto, every day I was going on doing different launches, like doing stuff like that. It's like, oh, if I would have, bought Pancake Swap and B&B and just farm those, like, oh, I would have made this much money. I would have been way ahead of, doing all this other work, which I wouldn't have learned as much. But
yeah, it's hard. Like, I purposely never picked out my stocks because, I mean, there's also that stat, and it's a real stat that says, like, you'll never beat the stock market. Like, some very small percentage of investors ever beats the stock market. Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do as an investor is just invest in the index fund, invest steady and often, and sit on it if you do that steady for 15 years, 20, 30 years, you're going to statistically beat out most investors that are handpicking their stocks, because there's emotion involved. Mm-hmm. And you're thinking about, I'm missing out. It's pumping. I'm missing out. I got to buy now. And then you end up buying high and selling low, out of fear. And it's like emotions get involved. When you just put it on autopilot, that's not so bad. But there's no, and maybe there is now, I think there is some index like funds for crypto now, and even some things like Fidelity and stuff are starting to include those in their retirement savings accounts. But man, it's the thing. I understand why people lose, because you get your emotions involved, because really it's just a long game. Anything you do investing wise is a long game. And with crypto, I think you get impatient. If you're in there on the app every day, you watch some video comes across your feed and it's like, this is why you should buy XRP. This is why you should buy this. Like, all of a sudden you're opening up your app and you're trying to buy that coin right then because somebody made a good case for it. Like, it's yo-yoing and pulling you all over the place,
Yeah. No, sometimes I'll come across like a weird coin or whatever. I'm like, I'll look at it, I'm like, this right now is not the best time to buy, but I really want to buy it. Mm-hmm. And it just, you buy it and based on that, like, all right, if this goes down 20%, like, I'm not going to panic. I'm going to buy a little bit more. Like, there's that, like.
I've thought about the bot thing, like you said. So was that bot set up in a way where, like, a new coin hits a market in the app, right? You automatically would buy like $100 of it. And then you would say, like, once it hits this amount of X, sell it, because so many coins hit the market and do a big spike and then shoot right down, that pump and dump.
So what it was is we had bots that when a new coin or token was like hitting the market, the way the blockchain works is before that, like when that block is coming in and being minted, like people would put liquidity on for that coin. So like say they put $500,000 worth of liquidity, or $50,000 depending on the coin or token size, and when that coin would launch, when that block came through, you were able to buy the token on that block for the cheapest amount that token was. So say if that token was 1 cent, if you buy that token right when that block gets minted, you're buying it at 1 cent. And then you're buying it before everybody. So then everybody, comes in to buy it and they push it up that first level.
Right.
So you're at that point.
And would you set your sell marker on that bot too?
Yeah. So you would set sell markers of like 10%, 20%, whatever. X
based
amount.
off of your confidence on it, like what it would do.
What you're thinking, and then your goal is to buy it before everybody and sell it before everybody. And then if you've made profits, once it comes back down, you try to hit the bottom and then sell it when it would go up. And then I would always leave a moon bag and just walk away from that token. Yeah.
So did that work out for you, or just kind of hit or miss? Like
it worked out.
Because you have to also pick that sell-off point, because if you're too far after it, unless you're watching it, if you're too far after, then you're going to lose on the dip.
Yeah.
Or if you're too close and you're like, oh man, that thing went way higher than I thought it would go.
Yeah. So a little bit was manual, a little bit was bot. But yeah, I didn't really have any like huge, because you're playing with your own money. The most I ever made off of one of those was 30,000, but like I said, there was a lot that I lost. So
yeah,
it's
gambling. It's like going on FanDuel or something and gambling on what do they call those you know, I can't remember, what's the main thing that people gamble on when they had a whole series of bets for sports betting?
Oh, so yeah, I know what you're talking. Parlay type stuff.
Parlays, yeah. It's like my favorite thing to do is when a buddy of mine's like, "Hey, I won $5,000. Let me see your app." Because on the app it tells you, you're just like on crypto, it tells you your like total losses, and it's gambling. You know, at that point you're playing the game. You're basically gambling. You win, you lose.
Yeah,
you have a good win. People talk about their wins. They don't talk about their losses.
No,
you know.
And
that's
there was
just normal.
There was there was a lot of losses. There was a lot of like big projects that like I wouldn't, you know, put my money in as through like injecting it with a bot or whatever, and you know they go to zero, and you're just like, oh well,
yeah.
This is I made this money by doing this, so
I'm sure you think about it too. Like I've thought about it because, you know, I have a business, and then I was, you know, messing around with crypto, and I was just like, well, if I put this money in my business, you know, like, could I have a better return? Have you ever like had those like moments where you're like, I'm spending the time on this to try to hit some kind of jackpot, pulling the lever, you know,
yeah.
But this is a solid thing, and if it just gets built, it can be stable. You know, it's like, have you ever like thought, like, had moments where you're like, well, I mean, you actually grew your company pretty good over the years.
Yeah. So I mean, at one point I took pretty much all of my crypto, and I did a hammock order with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that pretty much restarted me back over, and then but yeah, and I'm happy I did, because I
it's
probably
almost
would have
like
lost it.
like
So.
investing in crypto, investing in me.
Yeah,
Like I have more control over me. You know, it's kind of like back in the day when I used to listen to like Tim Ferriss. You know, he was just like, I only invest in companies, or he would do venture capitalists for like companies that he knew that he would have influence over, because he knew he was competent, and like, if I can whisper in the founder's ears, I know that I can make this company successful. So you find, you know, which it makes a lot of sense, you know. So in that sense, he was investing in the company, but he was really investing in himself, like, because he knew it would have some kind of influence over it.
Yeah.
You know? And the same thing with your company. It's like you have some kind of influence over it, you know, especially if you are, like we were talking about earlier, you're pacing around, you have like a really good idea, and you're like, this is the angle. This will increase sales, or this could be my thing, you know. Then you're like, yeah. It's just sometimes that's more. I've thought about that too. I'm like, why am I thinking about that when growing my business might be the more stable source of income for me?
It's the more stable, but when you can randomly pick a crypto and possibly make a stupid amount of money, it's real hard not to.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's the dream. That's what everybody talks about on the internet when they're talking about crypto. They're like, you know, like big Bitcoin. That is going to be like the gold of crypto, you know. And there's only so much real estate you can own.
Yeah.
It's pretty much out of like, it's all on the market now. That's it. So it's only going to go up from here, you know. So even if you own 0.01 crypto, who knows what that's going to be worth in 30 years. Think about 30 years from now. You know, you might not own a whole Bitcoin, but if you own 0.01 Bitcoin, that's in circulation when everybody wants it, when it's the equivalent of gold, you know. And I don't know. I think we understand a lot of people don't dive deep enough to even understand, like, that all currencies in history have been diluted. You know, even the Greeks were shaving off gold off the coins and then like distributing them back out, you know, like devaluing the currency. Even right now we have a fiat currency, you know, so that is protected through, especially Bitcoin. That's why it's going to be like the equivalent of gold. You can't do day-to-day processing with it for purchases, but it will be like a store of value that's very stable, unable to be devalued by any government or leadership. You know, eventually, it's like I do believe in crypto, even DeFi, the ability to get loans through crypto. That's going to happen. You know, just the way the world's going to work. It's going to move faster. Everything's going to move faster. The games, more people are going to be on the internet. NFTs are going to blow up because, you know, the NFT could be transferred from Grand Theft Auto over to a VR game, over to your living room, over to this. You know, like that same digital asset will be able to be transferred around, you know.
Yeah, no, NFTs are like just for the gaming industry are going to totally change the gaming industry, and you've kind of seen it with Fortnite, where you can buy skins and stuff like that, but those aren't tokens that you can sell to other people and kind of trade that way, and that's kind of where that stuff's going to really impact the that sounds kind of stupid with the whole gaming thing, but that's like a big advance for gaming is crypto.
I think a lot of people sleep on gaming, but here's the thing with gaming is like, I brought it up a lot before, like it's a lot cheaper. When you think about going out into space and populating a planet, like that's resource intensive, and you can make any world you dream of on Mars. You can do it, that's it's something everybody can do. But when you jump into a video game, like you're in a whole nother world, a whole nother story that's going to keep evolving. Like, and part of me, not to be too trippy, but I think about like, we're probably in a simulation right now. Like we're in somebody else's game. I think the games are actually what leads to, it's going to become more and more immersive. And then eventually we're going to have jacks on our heads and we're going to be completely in the games, like that's just the place that we head to. And on the road there, we'll be tracking assets and ownership and transferring, the things that you own between games or whatever. My neighbor's really big into World of Warcraft. And I'm like, I have this prediction that like the people that were in there from the beginning of World of Warcraft, because think about like the biggest thing about games is also like it's the longevity of it. How old is it? World of Warcraft's been around forever. So when that becomes a world that somebody can jump into in VR or jack into with their port on their head through Elon Musk's Neuralink, that's going to have more value than something new that pops up. Like now you're trying to create it. You're just like, say you made a game today. You were just jumping in. You have no, what's the word I'm looking for? You have no origin story. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have any history. You're just going to be like, trust me, we have it. But versus like World of Warcraft's been around forever. Like you can make, and once you make that world, people are going to want to be in it. And if you're somebody who has stuff from season 1, like gear and stuff, and that stuff can be turned into NFTs, that stuff's going to be, you're going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
You could easily just play in a World of Warcraft, having played from an early season. Who knows, in the future, you could be a millionaire just because you have all these items and gear from those early,
No, that's what I love about just the crypto aspect of gaming is, here you have people who will spend $60 on a game, and they'll play it for 6 to 8 hours a day, whatever, and they get to unlock all this cool stuff. They earn all this cool stuff that people, but when you add an NFT layer to it, or like crypto coins and stuff like that, where people who don't have enough time to play, they're buying these tokens, they're doing this and that, and then they're buying it from the people who play the game. So it's giving this whole new layer of people who
new marketplace. Yeah.
I mean, like I hate to bring up Fortnite again, but people are spending like tons of money on skins and stuff like that, and when you sell it in a marketplace, the game producer, they make like 3-5% of whatever you sell it for, and then the user is making the rest of it. So you have a handful of users that are playing it and they love it and they're making a bunch of money, and then everybody else is spending 60, 100 X amount of dollars because they want to play, and it creates this ecosystem where people can actually play the game and make money.
Yeah. I know that too, because Fortnite, you can't really just sell an individual skin.
No.
And I remember I played it season 1 because my buddy was just like, oh, check this out. And I was like, I remember I hated it because I'm like, I think I was 25 at the time or something. I'm like, this is 2 games in one. It's like, it's a shooting game and a building game. This is too much for me. I can't do this, but the kids loved it. But I had like one skin I had bought, and like my son just gets to like show that off from season 1. You know? But if you want to buy it, if you want to sell that, you have to like sell your account.
Yeah.
Like there's no way to track that, like you said, easily transfer that ownership through an NFT to somebody else. And that's where I think that's where we're heading to. And I actually think like I've been seeing videos about it, and I think about it, and it makes a lot of sense. But the new Grand Theft Auto is going to come out. If you think about how often they release a new Grand Theft Auto, I think the next one is going to be one that's going to be like that, where it's going to be like if you invest time in it and get stuff in that season 1, it'll probably pay off. Like I think they have to be thinking about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they have to be thinking about NFTs and so there's going to be a whole sneaker culture like on Grand Theft Auto. Like it's crazy to think about and wrap your head around it, but it also makes so much sense because there's more people into these games than people understand, especially older people. So many people now are getting like all their self-worth from the community in the game, from the playing of the game, and the character development in the game. It's like, as we move in this world of, AI robots and things that are doing the work for us and taking care of our community and things, there are going to be a whole group of people that are just getting their self-worth and their validation and their community fix from video games.
Yeah. And people will add like, well, where's the value coming from or whatever, and it's like a lot of that comes down to like old baseball cards, vintage cars, and like all that stuff of like
stupid pieces of cardboard.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing. You could say that was so ridiculous, Yeah.
And even like vintage cars and stuff, they're like, all right, well, yeah, they're expensive because, they made 10,000 of these and 9,000 of them were destroyed, and now there's only 1,000 and blah blah blah.
Right.
But like you can use all that same stuff for NFTs and
even the U.S. dollar. It's the Federal Reserve. It's not even federal. It's what is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We are creating the rules. Like it's social agreements, or it's just market. It's the marketplace, and it's the value the market puts on certain things. And when it comes to money, I don't know if so like when I think I've said this theory before on the podcast, but we just go where the vibe's good, And when you have people in front of a bunch of wood walls, and they're like, "We are order," and blah blah blah, and it's like, "Oh, that's okay, yeah, sure." Like democracy, that sounds great. Capitalism sounds great. Like and then the majority votes for it, and we do it. That's why you have to have that democracy and like freedom to choose, because the collective whole is always better than any individual like decision,
Yeah.
So it's like, as long as you have the freedom for the majority to decide on where we're heading, everything I think will be fine. I have faith in that, because the U.S. dollar isn't even anything. And that was actually manipulated. That was a bunch of people on an island deciding like, oh, we're going to get out the gold standard and do this. And, which it's a mess. It's a complete fiat currency. It's worse than Bitcoin.
It is.
It's not governed by anything. There's no, these Bitcoin, you can read the rules right up front. They'll never change. No one has the ability to change it. It's solid. It's like gold. It's way more solid, but people will look at that and be like, what's the utility? What's the value?
Yeah.
Which is crazy when you're sitting there okay with the U.S. dollar.
No. And I love when people will be like, crypto is a Ponzi scheme, and it's like, I mean, yeah, technically it kind of is, but like, have you looked into the U.S. dollar or like anything? Right. Like everything's a Ponzi scheme when you literally break it down.
Yeah,
especially the U.S. dollar.
It relies on like the majority, like a good amount of people believing in it. Right. But people are going to believe in something that is transparent and has the rules laid out right there, and that's what Bitcoin is. Like I still can't wrap my head around taxes. I can't wrap my head around the U.S. dollar, inflation, how that works. Like it's just such a complicated ordeal.
Well, you think that's complicated? Look into like banking.
Oh, the fractional reserve banking.
And like I watched videos on it, and I still don't fully comprehend like when you go to get a loan, where the bank's like, we'll give you money, but then like their they're loaning money from like the other reserves, and like there's just like this huge amount of printing that goes on just to get like different loans and stuff like that. And it,
Yeah, so they can like, what is it like? They can, what do? They like loan you 1,000, or like when they get approved to loan you 1,000, they can turn that into like 100,000 or something
Yeah.
like that, because like now you're owed. Or when you put money in the bank, say you put $10,000 in the bank, they can now turn that $10,000 into almost $100,000 and loaning it out.
yeah.
There was like a rule like a while ago. Oh man, I know this. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I wish
So it's fractional reserve banking, but there's a rule passed. I think it was Bush or maybe Obama, but they passed something where they were able to go past something, and that is like a whole nother thing, where it was a way to stretch the money out so that inflation wouldn't happen. Like we just keep making up rules. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We just keep making up rules, and we're just like, oh, that's fine. You know?
yeah.
It's so flimsy and so reliant on just negligence of people not paying attention to it, you know, because if we did, it would be like horrible. People would be like, not, you know, which is probably why the stock market has had like a crazy growth of that. Like we're supposed to dip, we're supposed to go up and down. It's a natural order of things, you know, and you had this long period of just climb. That's not a natural thing. The whole world is in this like, it's a great time to be alive. I'm not complaining. It's very fun. Like it's just, I always think about like, say that you were up in the clouds and they're like, pick your ride on Earth. What timeline do you want to come in on? We all chose to come in when the firework fucking exploded. You know what I'm saying? We're like we're the greedy ones. Like some people probably were like, you know, oh, put me in the middle. That sounds great. I like horses. I want to be, you know, in a horse-drawn carriage, you know, or you know, maybe I want to explore the West, you know, the new country. That sounds fun. We're like, no, put us where it all fucking shoots right up and goes crazy. That's what the time we live in right now. It's just like AI, crypto. There's just so many things. This is the most turbulent time in human history, I think.
Yeah, that's what I think, and then I think back to like Rome and stuff like that, and when when they were at the peak of their empire, where they like, this is the most turbulent time that's ever gonna be.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
Maybe we always say that because we just grow. So maybe it's just, I don't know. It seems like that exponential growth thing is a real thing. Like, you know, just like like your investments go up, just like whatever. It's just like hits that one point where it just starts going, like, and we're at that.
Yeah, but we're also at that point of like understanding that, like, if you were to go back 50 years and tell someone, hey, you could have a computer chip in your brain that will like help you think, they'd be like, screw you, man, that's never gonna happen. You tell someone that now and they'd be like, yeah, they've been doing that. I bet they've been doing that for 10 years and testing it. Like, so I feel like we're at this weird point of like technology and stuff is going like super exponential, but everybody's like, yeah, no duh. Where like 50 years ago, they'd be like, no shot.
Yeah. I mean, our phones are crazy. I remember when I was a kid, I had a Game Boy or Game Gear, you know, and that was like the coolest thing. And I saved a bunch of money and I bought me like a little handheld TV. You know, it's just something about having a screen in my, like I wanted that at a young age. I wanted a screen in my hand. I remember I watched, there's a movie called like Three Ninjas Knuckle Up or something, or like, it was about three brothers and like one of them could tell the future from their Game Boy or their Game Gear. Like the Sega, was the Sega Genesis? Was it Game Gear? Sega Genesis? Well, you wouldn't know. You're 28.
I was gonna say that's before me.
I think it was Game Gear with Sega Genesis. But like he would look at the game and sell the future, and then like so it's just like, and also anything you watch, it was like, you know, screens right there. It's like, so I've always wanted that. Like the you know, 14-year-old me, 12-year-old me would have shit to see an iPhone. Like it's just all screen. There's not even a button. And it's just all screen and you can just control it and do shit. Like I was like longing for it, you know? Like I thought that would be the coolest thing. Now it's like I don't even appreciate it.
No.
You know, it's an item. You know, it's crazy to think back to I've pretty much seen the whole evolution of technology. I heard the dial up, for the first internet.
Same.
Onto, now iPhones and AI, downloading Grok today for the first time. It's crazy.
No, I kind of had like a weird tangent that just kind of like, remember the iPhones when you put them in your back pocket and they'd bend?
Yeah.
And like people were going crazy, like, I can't believe this iPhone bends. And like, if you were to take that technology like 50 years ago, people would be
and
like,
it was so much thicker.
Yeah, well, people would be like, well, no shit that if you put that in your pocket, it's going to bend. But
Right.
now we're like, what do you mean it bends? I know that's like a totally off tangent type thing to say.
But now look at, also, I remember when phone screens broke.
Mm-hmm.
My iPhone doesn't even break. Also, I don't drop my phones anymore. Like when I was younger, I feel like I did. When I first had them, I don't feel like I do drop it, but they also don't break.
Yeah.
Like because of the Gorilla screens or whatever. Like that's a pretty big deal. Remember when phones broke? When you would drop it and have a shattered screen?
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty rare now.
the first smartphone I got, my parents were like, you better not drop it, you better not break it.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 days, fell out of my pocket, broke the screen, and I like
Kept using it, getting cuts.
Well, I hid it from my parents for like 2 weeks. Come to find out that if I would have like told them, it had a free screen replacement within the first week.
Oh,
So
bummer.
yeah, that was
Do you think they just told you that because they were mad at you?
no, because I looked it
No,
up
that's
and
real
it was
thing.
it was a
Okay.
real thing. Yeah,
You looked up their account and seen.
yeah, I was like re-looking up just
I was
like
going to say that was a pretty shitty thing if your parents were like, just said that to make you even feel worse. Like if you would have told us, why didn't you tell us? If you would have told us, we could have got it replaced for free. Just to make you feel worse.
yeah, no,
They weren't lying though.
they weren't. It was me who found it out when I was like looking up screen replacement stuff and yeah.
I paid at the what's it called, bulbs and batteries
Oh yeah,
I've
batteries
done
plus bulbs.
plus bulbs in Jackson. Yeah, I've done a couple screen replacements there. It's like $100, 150. But yeah, the more versions we go up, the less likely it is to break. It's crazy. I don't even do screen protectors. They don't even scratch no more. It's crazy.
Oh, you're rocking naked.
I'm rocking naked. I mean, usually when I first get it, I will put a screen protector on there, but that only lasts like 6 months, maybe a year. And then when the first one falls off, I'm done.
Yeah, I've had this for a little over a year. You can see how.
Well, that's your screen protector.
Yeah.
That's cracked.
No, I have 2 more in the case, but or like.
Is
I
this
bought
a 14?
15.
I like that you have your girlfriend on the back in the photo and on the front. Love it.
That was my choice. She didn't have any persuasion on that.
I'm sure she didn't. I want to pull mine out and have my wife. Oh yeah, I do. All right. That would have been bad.
That would have.
Well, that's good, man. It sounds like you got a good relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
tell me about your girlfriend.
Oh boy, well, I don't even know where to start.
Hold you down? Anchor?
No. And
She's going to listen to this.
I know
So
that-
you better do it good.
that's what I'm like. When you asked me that, I was like, went into like panic of what do I say.
Start with she's very patient.
She's very beautiful and pretty and patient.
That's funny. I just want to put you on the spot. That's funny. Mine's pretty great too. She's my wife though. But does she travel with you?
Mm-hmm.
She's okay to hang out in the hammock and sleep in the hammock.
Yep. No.
Do you guys do the bunk bed or do you guys do like a side by side hammock?
No, we
hammock?
do the double hammock and we both sleep in it.
Really?
Yep.
Does that work out good?
If you're in the honeymoon phase, it does. But I imagine if you're married,
Yeah.
probably a little too close.
Not for us, probably. All right, if you've made it this far in the podcast, congratulations. You have unlocked a hidden mission. This mission entails helping out the small local businesses that are suffering right now. Every day they're going online, Googling, how do I make a website? How do I make a contact form? How do I link this with that? What's Google Business? What is AI going to do for businesses, right? They're suffering right now. They need help. So if you know a local business owner, please send them to mimediahouse.com to get help today. If we get these local businesses the help they need, it not only helps them thrive, but helps our local communities grow and flourish. So get out there, soldier. Godspeed. Man, what else did I want to ask you? How do you like living in this area? of Michigan. Do you like it?
No, I love this area. I mean, I grew up in the Waterloo rec area with like our backyard leading right up to it. So I would spend every day just literally tell my mom bye, and my brother and I would run out into the woods, and we'd come back at dinner. So that was my childhood. So
I kind of envy you. I remember one time I lived in like Dearborn Heights. My mom lives in Detroit, and then we were in like Inkster area, and then all over the place. And then one time my dad got a property from like family that was in Romulus, and we had this like tiniest patch of woods, like this literally a patch, like tiny patch. And that was like the best years of my life because I built like so many forts back there and just got to explore. But every time we also went up north to Gladwin, we used to go up every weekend.
Oh, my girlfriend's from Gladwin.
My family has made a retirement compound in Gladwin. They have like 160 acres now. So it's like 100. It's almost like one of these, like Greenwood Acres or something.
Yeah.
It's almost like that, but it's houses and four-wheelers and side-by-sides and stuff, So they can all drive to each other's houses through the woods. It's all connected. 160 acres. I'm probably going to retire up there too.
That's awesome.
It's pretty cool. You said your girlfriend's from up there? Or
Yeah,
his
her
family?
family's all up there.
Oh, really?
Yep.
We'll have to see where they're at. Maybe we can meet up there. That's cool. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah, just building forts in the woods. Like, woods are just a place for creativity. And I remember I used to go up there and, like, go and explore and find this plot. And then I'd make, like, a fort and make these obstacles and do these cool things. And, like, when I thought it wasn't cool no more, I'd move on to another. Like, I just love, it's like Minecraft almost, like, or something. Like, it's just like, I wanted to build and, like, move on, And having woods, I think, is so cool for, like, young kids. Because you're on the other side of you. So it's the same house you live in now. So it's like across 94.
Yep.
By the state land over there.
Yep.
Oh, that's great.
No, which is funny because now, like, I go out on those trails, and, like, growing up, like, we wouldn't even use the trails. We'd start on the trails, and then, like, we'd be like, it's faster to go this way, and we just cut through the woods.
Yeah.
And, like, now I go out there, and it's like, I think this is a trail that goes to this place, and
You get lost.
I almost get lost, but I'm like, I think this is where we need to go. But our favorite thing was there were some gravel pits, and we'd build forts so they couldn't see us, and we'd just watch them just dig gravel pits all day, like, and we'd spy on them. And that was what we thought was fun as a kid.
Oh, you used to make up the stupidest games when you were a kid. I remember I went to my cousin's house. It was my cousin Alan. I don't know if he got me because it was like my first time over there. So it's like I was susceptible to like what was going on. But he got me all up in this like make-believe game of like, there's these people down here or whatever. And I thought he was serious. I was like, okay. We were fighting vampires or something. Like I was a kid, he's like, and then he had these like weird alleys behind the houses, like the houses were backed up to the alleys kind of things, like, which was new to me. This kind of that novelty thing we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's like you're in a whole nother neighborhood. This is different. The houses look different. The neighborhood's shaped different. Like, so it's like I already had that novelty thing to me, and then he's also getting me into this game about vampires being down by the creek, So I'm like completely into it. You're so susceptible to that kind of. I mean, of course, I didn't believe there was really vampires. I don't even think I thought to debunk him. It was just like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going with this. Let's take this ride. I'm going where the vibe's good. Like we were talking about, But yeah, living next to the woods would have been, I think it's so great for kids at a young age. We used to get, some of my best memories were up north. We'd just take turns riding four-wheelers around in a circle. These little tiny three-wheelers my dad bought. Little Honda 70s. And to be a line of cousins just chatting and talking while one or two other cousins were riding those three-wheelers around for one lap coming back. And we didn't even know what the uncles were doing the whole time.
No.
They were having a great time too. That's why I love taking my like boy to hang cons, because the whole time I'm hanging out with you guys, chatting it up, and then he's just gone. He's just hanging out with all those kids. It's when you have kids and you can find a situation like that where your kids are happy, you barely see them, and you're enjoying the company of the adults, that's like the perfect situation. That's like you hit it. You hit the jackpot, you know. And yeah, my dad used to take us up there every weekend. It was a great time. You have a big family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So both my mom and dad have 5 siblings. Well, they're 4 siblings, 5 including them. So we have a very big family.
That's awesome. Do they all come to your parents' place over there in Waterloo area? Where's the hang spot?
So for my mom's side, we have they're all sisters. It's 5 sisters, and 3 of them live within 5-10 minutes, and then the other 2 live out in Idaho in California. But yeah, coming over to our house or we have a pickleball court in the front yard and
Really?
stuff. Yeah.
That's obviously new. Pickleball balls are new.
Yeah, so we got lucky enough that our front cement was big enough for a pickleball court. If you are willing to like run into the gravel, it's
Right.
like the pickleball court ends, and if you run behind there, it's gravel. But it's yeah, everybody comes over, does that.
So you guys put up a net and painted it and made it like a legit pickleball?
Well, it's painted, but it's with like removable paint.
Okay.
So like it we've only had to repaint it like twice in like 3-4 years, but yeah, so it's painted. And then probably, so it was before my 21st birthday, down in our woods, I made a bar that's like a covered bar and like a hammock like hangout area where you can hang, I think 6 hammocks. I used it for old Europe.
I call that a hobo camp.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that up north on my family's property. I'm like, I'm going to make a hobo camp where it's just set up for tents and hammocks.
Yeah. No, I have a hobo camp, and my friends will go hang out down there. And we did COVID Christmas. Or not COVID Christmas. We did COVID Thanksgiving down in that. We call it Hammock City. But yeah.
Nice. I got to come stay there and play some pickleball. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
No, that's where I had my 21st birthday. It seems like every birthday after that, everybody comes over and
Got a
play.
little festival going on.
Yeah.
Wait, when you turned 21, you're playing pickleball? Does it go back that far? I feel like it
No,
just
I think
started.
that was like COVID times. Although I think the first time I played pickleball was in Florida, believe it or not. And then my friend showed it to me, and we were playing in like retirement communities.
Yeah.
And I just remember these like 60 to 80-year-old men were just like kicking my butt playing pickleball. And like I remember one of them
shuffleboard. They'll kick your ass at shuffleboard too.
Like they were kind of mean about it. I remember one time they hit me in the nuts, and it was like, it was pretty funny. Like we were, my friend, we were like 19, 20, and they were just murdering us. Like we're both in good physical condition, like, and they were just murdering us, hitting us in the nuts. Like
You got to understand, how good it felt for them isn't nowhere near as bad as it felt for you.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
It didn't feel bad for me.
To take some young bucks like that and teach them a lesson in an athletic sport, probably felt so good. Like you did a good service that day.
No, it wasn't just me. We did a good service that day.
Yeah. But I think we're probably getting close to where we can call it an end here, man. I'm gonna come over there and hang out in your hobo camp and chill sometime soon. But always good chatting with you. We'll have you on again, and
I hope it was
I think you did a great job.
semi entertaining.
I think it's great. So yeah, Mr. MOCKS, hammocks, bug nets. What's the little wood thing you're also selling?
Kendamas.
Kendamas. Pretty much anything you want. Hey, don't buy Eno, buy Mr. MOCKS. Especially if you're from Michigan. This guy's from Michigan. He's got a great company. So check him out. MrMocks.com.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it.